This is video number 2 for PowerPoint Module 3 in the Shelly Cashman book on Microsoft Office 365. We're on page 3-14. We're going to start working with tables. Before we do that, it appears that I skipped over a step in video number 1. I did not save my slideshow, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. Let's go to our File tab up here, and we're going to do a Save As. You can click on the Browse button over here or, whatever to find the place where you're storing your stuff. I'm putting mine on the desktop, so I'm just going to click on Desktop here. And I'm going to enter the file name. The file name for this is supposed to be sc_ppt_sleep. Go ahead and hit Enter or click on the Save button. So now we can get started with tables. We're at the bottom of page 3-14. We want to insert an empty table. So we want to do a new slide. We want it to be title and content. So let's go over here, type new slide, title and content, and slide number 2 now looks like this. We're going to insert a table. That is the first icon down here in this group of icons. Go ahead and click on Insert Table. The number of columns we want is 2. So you can either type a 2 or click on the down arrow 3 times. And the number of rows we want is 5. So change that to 5. When you've got a 2 and a 5 in there, go ahead and click on OK. And now we've got a table inserted into our slide. Now we're at the bottom of page 3-15. We're going to start putting some data in there. So let's type in the data in the first column. We're going to start with age. Do not hit enter after any of these. I'll show you what happens if you do. If I hit enter, it opens up another line there, and that's all going to be blank. So I'm going to backspace, hit the down arrow, or take the mouse and click in the next cell. And type in 0 to 3 months. Again, down arrow. 3 to 5 years. Down arrow. 14 to 17 years. Down arrow. And 18 to 64 years. Let's flip over to page 3-16. We want to click in the second cell in the first row. That would be this one. We want to type minimum hours and hit the down arrow. We're going to type in the numbers 14, 10, 8, and 7. Now we're at the bottom of page 3-16. We're going to apply a table style. So our table styles are up here. Click on the More button, this little down arrow with a little dash above it. We want medium style 1, accent 4. So our medium styles are right here. Accent 4 is this one, kind of an olive green. Go ahead and select that. And now this is what your slide should look like. Let's go to the bottom of page 3-17. We're going to add some borders to the table. Click on the edge of the table here to select the whole thing. Our table design tool should be listed up here. We want to click on the borders down arrow here. We want to select all borders, and that will give us a black line around every single cell in our table. Now we're at the bottom of page 3-18. We're going to add an effect to a table. Again, make sure the table's selected. You'll see the handles around it. You should also see table design up here. So we want to go to the Effects button right here. Click on Effects. We want to add a shadow to it. And the one that we want is the one labeled Perspective. And we want the first one upper left, Perspective upper left. Go ahead and click on that. Puts in a little shadow here. It makes this look kind of three-dimensional. Now we're going to go to the bottom of page 3-19. We're going to insert a row into the table. So the table should still be selected. This time we want to go to the Layout tab up here. Click the last cell in the first column. That would be this one right here. So the I-beam should be flashing after the word 64 years. Click on Insert below up here in the rows and columns area of the ribbon. It'll insert a new row for us. We also could have done the same thing just by going to the last cell in the table, hitting the Tab key, and it would automatically add a new row for us as well. That's probably the easiest way to do it. In this bottom row here, we're going to type in 65 plus, and then Tab or click over in the second column. We're going to type in the number 7. We're now at the top of page 3-21. We still want to be in the lower right-hand corner down here. We want to insert a column over here on the right. So now we're in column 2. It doesn't really matter which row you're in as long as you're someplace in column 2. So go ahead and click on the Insert Right button up here in your Rows and Columns group. Now we've got a 3-column table. We're going to add a column heading, maximum hours. Get the down arrow, 17, down arrow, 13, down arrow, 10, down arrow, 9, down arrow, 8. That takes us to the top of page 3-22. We're going to resize the table here. So we want the height to be 4 inches. We want the width to be 6.5. So with the table selected, here's our table size group. We want the height to be 4. And click or tab down in the next box. And for width, type in 6.5. Hit enter. And your table should now look like this. We want to align between the left and right sides of the slide. You can go to your Align button up here and you can choose Align Center, but you can also use the guides that are here. If I drag this over to the right, when I get to the point where it's in the middle of the slide, that is not the middle of the slide, that is the middle of the title, it's above it. Let's slide it a little bit further to the left, and there we go. I must have missed that the first time. Now it is aligned between the left side and the right side of the slide. It's perfectly in the center of the slide. Now let's add a title. Click up on the title box up here, and we're going to type in Sleep Requirements. We want to format that with the Rockwell font. So you can either drag the mouse over it, or I think the easiest way to do it is just click on the border here. When you get a solid line on the border, anything that you do is going to apply to the entire box. So we want Rockwell. Go over here, choose Rockwell. So that brings us to the end of the section on tables. So this looks like a good place to stop this video. We'll continue with the next video on the bottom of page 3-23, talking about text boxes.